Who you choose to marry is going to be the single most important decision that you ever make in your entire life. Now, the added pressure of that doesn't mean that you shouldn't get married. It just means that you should be extremely careful with who you choose to be your wife. And marriage in itself is the single greatest thing that you will ever do in this life, is to build a family, to build a legacy, to channel that divine archetypal king energy. Marriage as an institution, as a commitment, has been degraded very heavily in the West. A lot of countries like India and China, they still very much respect the ideals of marriage, whereas in the West, divorce is normal. And now we have something called no-fault divorce, where you guys can just go your separate ways simply because it just wasn't a vibe anymore. And in our ultra-hedonistic modern world, it's no surprise that we do that. Now, 80% of no-fault divorces were initiated by the woman statistically, and the reasons given are, I just fell out of love with him, or I was no longer interested in him. And so we have an entire generation of incredibly damaged children who have a inability to pair bond properly, and they have daddy issues or they have mommy issues. These are really interesting concepts, and birth rates are at an all-time low in pretty much every single Western nation, which essentially means that there is going to be a demographic decline. There's going to be a drop in the amount of people available in the workforce unless we get enough robots in there first. But once that happens, there's going to be a crumbling of our economy, and that's coming within the next 20 to 50 years as this current generation gets older and retires, and then the next two generations, the millennials, the Gen Z, step in to take their place. Now, family is an interesting concept in and of itself. Marriage itself is an interesting concept because when you think about it, we really evolved out of small clans of 30 to 50 to 100 to 300 people, essentially, a little village. And within this village, everybody knew everybody. And human nature is naturally promiscuous. It's naturally over-sexualizing, because the amount of times that we reproduce, we can keep going throughout the entire year, whereas most other animals, they have a specific season, and then any time outside of that season, they do not reproduce, whereas we're always doing, for some people, a daily intercourse is a regular thing, right? And so because we're so naturally sexual, it was very, very important that the two people would stand in front of the entire community and would announce that we are now building a family, hold us accountable. This is within the sanctity of the divine realm. It's within the sanctity of human law. It's within the eyes of all members of the community. And it was like a promise. It was a commitment that you were making not only to each other, but to each other's families and to each other's communities, to be the generative king and queen of a clan, right? Now, we've forgotten this. We live in a world where we are such individuals. Individualism, it's touted as the best possible doctrine. We have to be so unbelievably different from each other. And if you look exactly the same as somebody else, this is a tragedy because you're not an individual who's expressing themselves. Now, individualism is actually a horrible concept, because what it does is it divides people. And people are alone because it is so difficult to have somebody that meets all of your very novel, very specific guidelines to who you are saying that you are. What is your, subculture? What is your alternative group that you associate with? And more, it makes you see the others in other people, which is not good. Whereas before, just a couple of 100 years ago, actually, we had something like the family unit. Each person was not an individual. Each person was part of a greater collective, of a greater genetic group that they are most closely related to. And a family could be anywhere from, a mother, a father, grandfather, grandmother, maybe even the great-grandmother and great-grandfather was still alive, and the father and mother had like 5 to 10 kids, and then those kids grew up. Maybe a couple of them didn't make it or whatever, but then you have like 7 fully grown adults who are out there pursuing what's best for their family. When you think about the Rothschilds, for example, the greatest banking empire the world has ever seen, almost every single central bank in the world is a Rothschild controlled central bank. And it all started with Mayer Rothschild, he was a lender. He lent money to people in Central Europe, right? The Bavarian kings or whatever. And then he eventually raised his sons. He made them very intelligent. He taught them seduction and communication and relationship building. And then he sent them to the 5 great major cities in Europe at that time. And they went in and they convinced the nobility and the aristocrats to allow for a Rothschild central bank. A lending empire began from there. And the whole idea was that no one brother was allowed to prosper if the other brothers did not. So it's incredibly powerful if you think about that as a concept, and an entire unit of people working together. And you see this a lot in Indian families, right? Like they will come in and they will first buy one person a house, save up, buy another person a house, and they go through the whole family. At the end of the day, your entire neighborhood is owned by Indian people, right? Because it's smart. It's how you do it, right? In the West, we have a total degradation of the extended family, right? First, the extended family got broken down and you were far away from your grandparents, right? And you had no support from the rest of your family. People started working harder. They had to work longer hours to make more money, and the child began to be raised by the state, especially after the Second World War, when the Rockefellers, they funded the females' liberation movement, or feminism, right? Which was funded so that women would enter the workforce. And who is raising the children? The state, right? The state is raising the kids. And so this has happened, and the moment that rose, it really created a divide between men and women. And this divide has continued to evolve. And in our day and age, we are so unbelievably divided that the nuclear family doesn't even exist, which is, even the nuclear family is not really a natural family structure, but the nuclear family has completely crumbled. People are not getting married, not having kids. And I would believe that this is actually on purpose as a depopulation measure, and it's working. I mean, I get it, there's too many human beings on this planet. Maybe you don't want to massacre them and totally create another genocide, and so you're doing more of a multi-year strategy to reduce population, and it is working. But what is happening to our culture? What is happening to our children? What is happening within our own psyches? There is a total degradation of anything spiritual in this world. Satanism is plastered all over every single video you see from music these days. Why is it all so satanic? Why is every single religious person ridiculed at any talk show, any TV thing? It's just kind of weird. And the fact that this is aligned with the degradation of the family unit means there's something pretty sketchy going on in the world. Because of the rise of feminism, what we see consistently is also the rise of misandry and also the rise of female narcissism. We're seeing this incredibly throughout our entire society. The female form is highly sexualized right now. It's highly commoditized. You see OnlyFans out there right now. Pornography is at an all-time high. Women are Instagram models. They are influencers. They're making money off men simping all the time. There's never been a time like this in history where the regular woman can use an AI face filter and get millions and millions of followers on Instagram. And then imagine the narcissism that comes with that. And we're seeing this with so many women. They've been constantly told, you don't need a man, go get that bag, girl, you're the boss, you gotta go out there in the career and work. And what ends up happening, right, is they're so narcissistic to the point they can't attract a man. They want a man so much further above what their own value could allow them to get that they end up crazy cat ladies in their 30s. And as you know, women from their 30s to their 40s, it's like the last ditch attempt. Their neurosis really plays up, their reproductive health is going down, and if they don't have kids and they just have cats, it can lead to a lot of mental health issues later on in life. And I have personally experienced this with older women, totally just breaking down in front of me because her whole life has been spent getting like a PhD, and now she's all alone and too old for any man to want her. And women, if you're listening to this, don't fall into this trap. A lot of women I meet who have that traditional mindset, they want to have kids, they want to be a mother, they want that traditional life for a man to provide and protect them, but they feel like they're not allowed to because of what society is. And so there's something really weird going on right now. And for men, we're seeing an incredible rise in pornography addiction. We're seeing like every little thing arouses us and stimulates our little dopamine receptors. And we feel like there's such an abundance of women that there's no need to get married, right? There's no need to have kids. But there's also a certain level of narcissism within that, certain level of hedonism. Like, you're not having kids for your own fulfillment. You're having it to pass down a torch from one generation to the next. And if you're not married while having those kids, you are really affecting the chances of your kids being grown in a healthy environment, for them to have healthy psyches, for them to actually go on and be successful in life. If you don't have a holy union where they get to see their mother and father loving each other and happy, and there's no trauma in the household, like if you're in a divorced family, the amount of trauma goes up significantly for the children, significantly, and they grow up to be emotionally damaged people. Like, not every single time. I know a lot of them can be healthy, and I fully accept that. I mean, my parents are divorced at the end of the day, right? So I totally understand it, but statistically speaking, it is night and day for a child's development, right? And so you want to make sure that you are investing everything you possibly can into your children and making them grow up to be the most capable and powerful creatures that they are. And to do that, marriage must return, and marriage must be something you're looking for. And in fact, men right now want marriage more than women, which is nuts. But because men are so addicted to pornography, which weakens your own masculine power, more videos about this soon, but also video games, and nobody's going out. There's a whole amount of men called, incels or whatever, that just stay indoors and just play video games, and nobody wants them. And it's like, of course they don't want you. You're not an attractive guy. You're not doing anything to actually attract women. You're not pursuing your dreams. Like, why would they want you? It's not just a given. And also because of all the toxins in our environments, the toxins in all the deodorants, and toxins in all the body washes, the toxins in all of your laundry detergent, the toxins in all of your cleaning products, the toxins in all of your food, the microplastic, the phthalates. All of this is having a very significant effect on your testosterone levels. And so men are actually becoming women. They're becoming feminized. They're becoming much less masculine. And testosterone has an incredible effect on the male brain and the male drive and ambition and assertiveness and just clarity of thought and confidence. And we're seeing, weak men, and nothing is going to connect you to that deep masculinity within you than getting married to a wonderful woman who is going to stimulate you. The main reason is it becomes like a container for, if you have trauma that's acting up, if you have bad patterns of behavior that are antisocial and they're acting up, you have no choice, because you're not leaving that marriage. If you have really made a commitment to yourself to work through it, no matter what, you are not leaving, and you have to go back within yourself and fix that shit. You have to fix it. And so if you don't, your marriage will fall apart, and both parties have to do this. And it takes a certain level of humility. It takes a certain level of taking narcissism out of yourself and saying, hey, I'm not perfect. I do need to change. I want to be better. I want to be the best. Here's how I'm going to do it. And I've been married right now for a while, and it's been the single greatest transformation I've ever had in my entire life. I've had to step up and be the man that I always needed to be, simply because I'm trying not to fail. The pressure is great, and I've had to change so many different things about myself to make myself a better partner, because everybody thinks I gotta find a better partner. No, you have to become a better partner. And when you become one, the right partner will be able to resonate at your frequency. Also, if you think about it in history, the family unit was the individual unit. And imagine how much more powerful a family is when compared to an individual. An individual doesn't have any buying power. Imagine if you had a multi-family compound, right? Your parents are living there, your kids are living there, your cousins, their cousins, your brother, your siblings, whatever. Everybody is in a big plot of land. Imagine the power potential. Everybody's working in their own little profession. Everybody's contributing to a big pile of investment money, and they're choosing where they put it. And everybody's being developed. Everybody's growing together. Everybody is thriving together. The workload is distributed. Certain people are cleaning. Certain people are cooking. Certain people are building. That's the only way to true greatness. You as an individual, you will never achieve greatness alone. Without a family, without a clan, without a greater community, you will never achieve that. And for that, you have to thwart your own narcissism, and you have to find the right woman, because that's another thing. Because of all of this crazy programming that women have gone through within our modern day and age, it just so happens that many of them don't make good wives. And this comes down to a few different things. It comes down to female promiscuity, which is a huge one. So body count, as people say so much these days. Women are naturally monogamous, and so a woman who is not monogamous minded is only that way. She's only promiscuous because of her trauma. Absolutely. And the higher the body count, the higher the level of trauma, and you're going to have to deal with that. So if a woman is highly promiscuous and you marry her, you're donezo, dude. You're going to be dealing with that plus her neurosis for a very, very long period of time. And when you help her heal that, if you help her heal that, she may become a totally different person and may no longer be attracted to you. Don't risk it. That stuff is very, very difficult. So if a woman is highly traumatized, you can fix her if you're good enough. But why would you want to if you could go find yourself another woman who is someone who respects her body, someone who has a good relationship with her father, somebody who has a good relationship with her family, somebody who has a connection to the divine, a connection to the universal spirit, a connection to God? You need to find somebody like that, somebody that's ready to embrace her feminine, somebody that's ready to be a mother, somebody that's not afraid to say she wants children, to be a traditional, submissive, beautiful, beautiful feminine woman. That's who you should marry. And unfortunately, those types of women are few and far between nowadays. They do exist, but because their value themselves is so much higher, you need to become a way better candidate if you ever want a chance with one of these women, because every single man and his friend want these girls right now. And so keep watching my videos. I'm going to show you how to level up yourself, how to level up your own masculinity, how to avoid the pitfalls of falling for a girl that would tear your life apart. Because honestly, getting married and the woman you'll marry will be the single biggest decision you will ever make. It will determine your wealth. It will determine your success. It will determine every happy moment, but it will also determine every sad moment, every moment of depression, every moment of weakness. It will be defined by which woman you choose to be with.